Are Brits work shy is what we're asking next. So the Prime Minister has declared that Britain simply isn't working. He has unveiled his plans to get more people back into the workforce. Part of that is replacing the network of job centres with a new national job and career service and providing more training opportunities for young people. Now, about a quarter of working age population aged between 16 and 64 do not currently have jobs. That's roughly 11 million people. So why do you think that is? Have we lost our work ethic? The UK tops the list of the least work-orientated countries. That might surprise you. Or do you think that there are bigger issues at play here? 0207 862 2222 is the number, and we'll speak to you in just a moment. Emily, are we work shy? Are you work shy?
Well, I was the person who called Prince William work shy, so I've got a bit of a track record actually with this word. But we're not talking about the royals.
No.
Prince William did have some things to say to me.
I'm sure he did.
Well, he didn't do any work for about 2 months straight, and we're not talking about Prince William. So, beloved Prince William, Prince of Wales. Are we work shy? It's a really complicated picture, isn't it? I mean, all joking aside, it's a very complicated picture. I think since yes and no would be the answer, I guess, if you're going to push me, Storm. I think that on the one hand, we do have most of us have quite a good work ethic. Most of us are quite grafting, aren't we? I know us three certainly are. But I think that also since COVID, there's been a real shift. All the studies tell us there's been a real shift in young people not perhaps wanting or going to work anymore. At one point that one of our lovely colleagues here on the show did say to me earlier, though, was that you cannot claim job seekers allowance unless you've actually had a job. So unless you've started to pay into the system, the benefit system won't let you claim job seekers allowance. So this kind of demonisation of the young, actually, if you're a young person who's never had a job, well, you can't get any benefits.
But if you're a young person that has never had a job and you're now 21, how have you got by? Who's paying for this, Lynn?
Can you get universal credit?
Yeah, but not job seekers allowance.
Universal credit is slowly replacing
job seekers allowance.
Okay. But I think, having worked in welfare to work, I think maybe my generation or our age group are the last of where if we can't get a job that's desirable to us, we'll still get up and do something. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of young people. But I think I'm not going to blame it all on young people. I think it's also a combination of jobs out there that are readily available, where you can climb the ladder and make quite a lot of money, are not being circulated in schools as a knowledgeable area of being able to work. And I think where we have parents or their parents that may not have been privy or subjected to those sorts of industries, don't know where to guide those children. So, for example, me working in housing, I was never told in school you could go into this industry of housing and you could make decent amounts of money, it's fulfilling, it's enjoyable, and no day is the same. I had to go and look for that myself by accident and fell into housing, you know?
But I think you make a really good point, because I think that we have a real concentration on academic achievement at primary level with SATs, and then at secondary with GCSE and A levels. And actually, I think we've lost those practical qualifications. Electricians, plumbers, brickies, they are not lauded on the same, and they should be.
They're two slightly different things, aren't they? Yeah. One is encouraging apprenticeships and encouraging practical work, and yet not putting any stigma against doing those sorts of things, because
those
actually
should be celebrated.
We're having an issue with job snobbery as well, which is huge amongst young people. And I think, like I said to you before, some of that started with Tony Blair, where he made people feel that their working class jobs were no longer good enough. You had to have a university degree, you had to have a middle class career. And I think we need to really get back to praising those good trades jobs. Yeah.
Okay, Judith from Manchester, what do you think the problem is? Why have we got so many people out of work?
Well, I'm not really sure about that, but my grandson, he was born short of oxygen, and he has difficulties, but he left school, he left college, he went to school, he went to college, he left college, he got a job and absolutely loved it. And then his term ended, so now he's still looking for work. He goes out every day to look for work. He's got terrible problems, but he overcomes them. And I think the children today, I think they're mollycoddled. I don't think the parents push them enough
to go out and get a job. Maybe they're relying on bank of mum and dad. What kind of work is it your grandson's after? Is there a glut of labour in that market? What's the issue?
Well, he's in shop work, but he absolutely adored it, and everybody loved him because he's a great talker. He can talk people into anything, and he's a good salesman.
Listen,
Honestly,
once he gets a job, he'll go a long way. If that's the truth, nobody will want to let go of him.
Yeah.
Judith, I wish your grandson all the luck in the world in getting a job. I know it can be really hard, particularly when you're young. Those first steps in that ladder are the hardest ones to take. So best of luck to him. Kevin from Suffolk, what's your view when it comes to, it's not just young people, I suppose, just the amount of people that are out of work in this country?
Yeah. I mean, I'm 68, so back in my day, you had to work for 6 months at least before you could claim dole back in them days. Nowadays, there's job seekers allowance. So I think if they had something like that, I think a lot of the youngsters would actively look for work because they wouldn't have any money coming in.
So, well, I mean, I suppose that's sort of what Keir Starmer is getting to now at this point is, you know, your benefits will be affected if you refuse training or work. Do you think that's right?
Yeah, I think so. I think they should be either in education, in training, or in jobs. But in saying that, I got a granddaughter, 16. She had home tutoring up until then, but she's not in education now. But she can't find a job anywhere from 16, and a lot of people won't take anybody on until they're 18.
Yeah,
which I think
16 is very, very difficult to find a job. Most companies will want you to be 18 for insurance purposes and things. Well, Kevin, that would be very difficult because what Keir Starmer would be saying to your granddaughter is, well, you have to get into training, you have to go back into college, or you're not going to have any money, which means your child is going to have to support her, presumably. What do you think about Keir Starmer's policy on you have to be if you refuse training, you refuse a job, you don't get your benefits?
I think most people would probably support that, actually. And what's interesting is that when you go and do Vox Pops, you know, talk to people on the street, even those on benefits say that people are too much swinging the lead. They're not, obviously, but, you know, other people are too much sickness benefit, too much this, too much the other. So I think, actually, although, you know, it's a very conservative type policy. I mean, it's a Thatcherite policy. If you don't work, you're not getting your benefits. We have a Labour Prime Minister doing exactly that. And I think the population are with him.
And I think it's about, like, if you can't find, I hear a lot of people, when I speak to people that are looking for a job, oh, it's not what my heart desires, or I want work fulfillment. No, that comes later. People need to get back to climb the ladder and start from the beginning. When I went to the Brits, I had, you know, A-levels and I wanted to do certain things. The only job I could find at the back of the paper was selling bin liners. I've said this before on this show, and I'll do it again if I can't find a job.
I mean, I drove a van for a little while.
I've cleaned dustbins, you know, it's fine.
A huge thank you to my brilliant panel, Lynn and Emily. Thank you for all your calls as well. Jeremy is going to be back here at 9:15 tomorrow morning. As always, I'll be shortly after. Same time, same place. But until then, have a lovely afternoon. Thank you so much.